Hey, what's happening, CSTers? Welcome to the big show. That's right. I'm just glad that the house did not burn down. Boston and Brad did a great job last week hosting the big show last Monday night. A lot to get to this week, FCC fans. Two matches to cover, both ending in draws for the orange and blue. Also, we had the news that General Manager Gerard Nijkamp and FC Cincinnati mutually agrees to part ways. So we will discuss what that means for the orange and blue going forward. And of course, we'll be reading your comments on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And the transfer window ended. There's some new additions to FC Cincinnati, which we'll get to a little bit later on in this episode. Of course, if you're watching us live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, we appreciate you tuning in this week. As I mentioned, we're going to be reading your comments. Of course, if you're listening to us after the fact and you want to hit us up, please feel free. You can hit us up on Twitter at Cincy Soccer Talk, and you can email us feedback at CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com. Let's welcome in my cast of characters for this week. I will start with Brad Wygle. Brad, thank you again for kindly assisting last week and on all that you did for CST in my absence. I certainly appreciate it. Welcome back.
Hey, man, thanks for having me. Just trying to give people what they want, more of Boston and Brad. So, I think we had a good time last week. Maybe it wasn't as tight of a ship as you typically run, but, we had a good time. And you know what? We host, and FC Cincinnati picks up two positive results. So, maybe if we got a win there, you might not have gotten that chair back yet, buddy.
I would have been completely okay with that if that meant I'm all about the superstition. So if they had won, I definitely would have handed you and Boston the keys again. But appreciate you being back on the show. And like I said, thank you for filling in last week with all the other podcast stuff that we've got going on here as well. Let's also welcome in to the show your brother, Brian Wygle. Brian, how are you, buddy?
Fine. I would classify those results as lateral to neutral at best, but I do feel bad and need to advise you here, Nick. You're saying the house didn't burn down. You just moved into one house. You're in the process of selling another house. So I feel like you're tempting fates here. So I'd highly recommend you spit, throw salt over your shoulder, and twirl around, run around the house 3 times or something like that. Just make sure you don't have any accidents, pal.
That's true. I'll clarify. The other house is sold and is not in my hands anymore. So the keys are gone. So just the one house now. But I'm very superstitious. So I'm with you, Bri. I'll do that after the show.
We're not going to have any technical difficulties in this new house, are we? Is the bandwidth performance increased?
We'll find out, right? We'll find out.
I do gotta say, you're in the background of your studio here, pal. You got like nice chair or floor molding. Just classing up a little bit, man. Good job. Proud of you. Grown up.
This is a temporary solution. Right now, I'm in the guest room. Eventually, there will be some sort of permanent studio setup somewhere in the basement, which is unfinished, which might be a few months, but I'm very thankful to Sarah for allowing me to occupy the guest room at this current moment. So appreciate the kind words. I do have to get to one last gentleman here on the show. It wouldn't be an episode of CST without the Wolfman. Bill Wolf. Bill, what's up, buddy?
Oh, not much. Had all kinds of thoughts on some of the comments that were going on before, but I thought I'd wait my turn and be kind and wait for my introduction. But it's all good. So
we call you the Wolfman, but actually we should call you the Horseman.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah, I'm good. It's just a little frog in my throat, or horse in my throat, or wolf in my throat. I don't know.
So, COVID in your throat?
Nah, no COVID. But yeah, I can get that deep voice now.
There you go. I like it.
You should have heard me yelling at like my practices, U5 and U6 practices tonight. I swear to God, I had more voice cracks. I can't believe I can even talk right now. I sound like this. Go, Lily, run. It's fun.
Oh, I love the trials and tribulations of U5 soccer.
I can't believe I didn't know what I signed up for.
She should have plenty of the energy after 2 boxes of candy, a thing of cotton candy. I mean, snacks. How much crap we gave her this weekend to eat? Holy cow!
Yeah,
she probably hasn't stopped running since Saturday.
Yeah, no, she was up. So I took Brian and then Lily, my daughter, so 6 and 4 years old, to their, I guess, first match at TQL Stadium. It's Brian's second game, but he's like 20 months old the first time he went, so doesn't really count. But yeah, hook those 2 up with sugar, plenty of sugar. The ladies in the concession stand, definitely loved Lily. So yeah, they of course, she dumped her cotton candy on the ground, so I had to go buy her something else. So,
oh, what a good
spoiled children.
Yeah. Well, again, appreciate everybody being on the show here this week. Like we do each and every episode of the Big Show here on Monday nights, we like to offer up our best and worst. So we've got a couple of matches, some other noteworthy news surrounding the club as well. So I will start things off. I'll start with you, Bri. Give me your best and worst from the past week since we recorded an episode of CST.
We used 5 subs on Saturday. No, that's a joke. No, how about that? Yeah, I think technically we did 5 subs, maybe. But yeah, I would probably say Joe Zhao was my favorite. Yeah, so that I guess Stom switching him to like more free roll in the front four, I guess. I was very happy with how that went. So, yeah, I think that was definitely my best for the week. The worst is still just, I feel like, we're not falling or dropping points immensely, but it's almost like a parachute that has just little holes in it. Like we're not gaining any ground, but we're falling more and more and more. So we'll see how that goes.
All right, Bill, I know you're upset. Go for it.
No, I'm not allowed to do that because you have to bleep me out.
I'm glad nobody cussed last week because I don't have that capability to edit all that out.
No, it's all right. We kind of plan out some of our best and worst, and Brian just walked right over top of mine.
What I do? I wrote it down.
You did not read.
Yeah. Anyway, but it's okay. I'll invent something else. But I'll give him my worst first and see if my brain can calculate a best real quick. My worst was the fact that we took 2 shots on goal versus Red Bulls, and both of them were defenders. So I think you're coming down to a situation where our players are just worn out. The Red Bulls game was a sleeper. It was boring to watch. It was probably boring to play. And our front attackers had nothing. They had nothing in the tank, nothing to give, and they gave nothing. It was a pretty miserable performance in all, in my opinion. Yeah, we got out of it with a draw, which is great on the road, especially. But to literally have 90 minutes with 2 shots on goal and nothing coming out of our attacking players, I think that's a little sad. So that was my worst. I think, obviously we need to make some changes there. My best was going to be the fact that in Orlando, we actually did use 5 subs. Brian. But if I have to say my best, I will go with the introductions at the stadium for the Orlando away team, right? So they actually had a Mickey Mouse read off the players' names. Phenomenal. I loved it. So I'm going to go with the Mickey Mouse reading off the Orlando team for the introduction.
That is fantastic. Oh, I like that. All right, Brad.
All right, sticking closer to the soccer, I'm going to have to say my best is it's getting 2 results against 2 top playoff caliber teams in the East. You go into Red Bulls, and anytime midweek on the road is tough for any MLS team. So for you to get a point there on the road, great result. Same against Orlando. Orlando is awesome, even though they sat Nani. They are second in the East, something like that. Having a lot of success, and to get a point there, again, great result. But going into my worst, if you look on a piece of paper, or you maybe heading into last week, you say draws against both teams, you probably go, I'll take it. That's great. But I think the worst side of it is, golly, it was still disappointing. Like if you're watching the games, it was disappointing because, as Bill just said, we were really kind of inept against Red Bulls, and Hagelin had a chance to win it there at the end too. But that one I don't have as much of an issue with. But golly, if it just wasn't another disappointing result at home against Orlando. I felt like we were the better team for a lot of the game. Our defense has been playing extremely well. You think about it, back-to-back, nothing draws, and then a 1-1 draw versus Orlando. And honestly, that goal really wasn't their fault. It was just a howler from Alan Cruz. If not, we're talking about 3 clean sheets in a row. Defense is really starting to gel. And you know what? Maybe we can try to get the offense going a little bit. So worse is how it happened, and that utter still kind of deep down feeling of disappointment, even though we really, I think, should be somewhat okay with those results.
Yeah. As far as my best and worst, I'll go with a little lightheartedness. Everybody seems to. I think the pitch invader Saturday night was the perfect distraction for what happened in the actual match, because that's all everybody's talking about. Because adorable. I mean, just the reaction from mom getting off the pitch as well. I mean, I guess it's good that there's some sort of positivity floating around about this team at the moment, even if it is something as lighthearted as that, even though we don't encourage pitch invaders. So don't be doing that. So that's my best. My worst is I think when you look at the match as a whole against Orlando, that was a match you had to lead, and B, you had I don't know if there could be a better opportunity to win the match there at the end. I know it's easy for me to sit here and say that chance needs to be finished, but you're one-on-one with the goalkeeper, and that's clearly a chance that needs to be put away. So, obviously you want the best for Isaac Katanga in that situation. We know that clearly that he's struggling at the moment to get some minutes, clearly maybe even struggling with some confidence. But unfortunately, that's a chance that needs to be finished there at the end. Hopefully he gets a chance to make up for that sometime in the next couple of days when FC Cincinnati does resume play. But again, that's my best and worst. We'd love to hear from you, though. Get in touch with us. You can hit us up, feedback@cincinnatissoccertalk.com. And, of course, if you're watching us live, let us know what your best and worst moments from the past week were. All right. Gents, was I right about the distraction? The pitch invader was a nice little distraction from all the negativity surrounding the club.
Earliest sub we've made in a game.
Ouch. That was good, Bill. You got your feet wet with that one. That's good. So yes, love the kids. Sign them up for a day. Make a promo out of them. Put it all over. That was cute, fun, awesome. So my question is, we love how Jaap Stam loves putting people in the doghouse, right? Mokacha's in now. Kamo's in there now. Alan Cruz is in there last year. He in the doghouse again now after that howler? Is he in purgatory now?
Dang, Brian, you've spent way too much time around kids.
I'm serious. He's in purgatory now. I think he's in trouble.
You think he's rooming with Cody Cropper?
Yes, absolutely. They're best friends now. He might even have to share a pillow with Cody Cropper at this moment.
Okay, so if you sit Cruz, wait a minute. Let's back up here. If you sit Cruz, who's going to play in his position?
He'll probably just play a man down.
Florian Valleau, baby, woohoo, savior.
Okay. I see what you're doing there.
I'm serious though. It's like I'm super nervous about what's gonna happen now, because you've seen what Stam has done to guys who have monumental screw ups, and I'm legitimately petrified that Cruz is gonna have to sit the bench now to make up for that back pass.
Can I just say, and maybe this is an unpopular opinion here, but how many times have we seen, and maybe these situations haven't led to goals directly like Cruz's did, but how many times has Brenner tried to do something clever or cheeky and it doesn't come off? Lucho all the time tries to do something clever that never comes off. So
there's a difference though. Those guys are going on goal, and this is a back heel across the central of the park
in your own third.
Yeah. In your own third. It's as bad as Hagelin's back pass that got intercepted the second or third week of the season.
Yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying there. I just know that he's not the only one trying to do these things. That like I said, his was the only one that led directly to a goal for Orlando. But yeah, that's an unfortunate one there. Anything else we need to touch on as far as on the pitch over the last couple games, whether it be Red Bulls or Orlando, that you really want to discuss and bring up here before we get to probably the biggest news of the week in the departure of Gerard Nijkamp?
I'm ready to go, big guy.
How about the movement in the run, the goal in the run of play with Brenner?
Yeah, finally getting a goal at home at TQL Stadium. On
my half the field. Boy, you guys are bringing the energy tonight. I'll tell you what. You just want to talk about that GM, don't you? That's what everybody's here for.
No,
Holy
to be
Right.
fair, like I think that goal, if we want to talk about that goal real quick, and I think it's
Yes.
fair, we should talk about that goal. That was finally like one of the first legitimately, like, that's how you draw it up. Pitch, just perfect, cut towards the end line, which I feel like FC Cincinnati rarely ever gets towards the end line anymore after that. And then crosses it back up. That's how Brenner's supposed to be played towards, guys.
I would
Like,
say
that is
maybe
exactly how you draw it up.
maybe
He's
if our
box to box
wingers
coming
played
back
in
in
there,
late, boom, that's what he's getting goal for.
maybe
Coach,
if the
I bet
wingers
Coach
played.
Coach is going to have like a 45-minute segment on this, so I don't want to take up all of his energy here. But yes, it's exactly how it's supposed to be drawn up, and I loved it, and that gives you hope, which is what kills you.
Wingers playing in their natural positions and doing what they're supposed to be doing. Making space, creating opportunities. Brenner's a smart guy. He could have just like kept running that, a Brandon Vasquez style run just right at the box and could have got intercepted. But he was smart. He took like a 6 foot, 10 foot step back and even found any more space. I thought it was wonderful. Keep doing it. Just keep creating more space. I think if we keep doing those little things, there's going to be more goals. We're going to add another level to this offense, and hopefully we actually get 3 points versus 1.
And these are the types of goals that he was scoring for Sao Paulo.
Yes.
So it's good to see these, that he was able to capitalize and get service. That's the biggest thing. Get service there inside the box. So kudos to Brenner. Glad he's, again, I think he's doubled up now. Fernando Adi.
Hey, what? So he's got 4 goals. Is that right?
I believe that's correct.
So
yes.
I said at the beginning of the season, if he gets 8 goals, that is a success. As a success for a young player moving to the country, not being familiar with his players, having a lot of new pieces coming in. He's halfway there through 17 games, and I think we all need to acknowledge that.
All right, so before we move on and discuss the biggest news surrounding the club last week, let's take a moment to give a big shout out and thanks to our tremendous supporters. So let's give it up to Tim Bronsel, Matt Amchick, Mike Hudson, Brian Malone, Jamie Smed, Jonas Tom, Jack Emery, Mike Bowman, Kathleen Francis, Matt Imholt, Matthew Long, Joe Coling, Tara Mullins, Riley Stephen Burke, Melissa Bingle, and the newest big-time supporter here of Cincinnati Soccer Talk. Thank you so much, Danny Albers, for supporting the show. To learn more on how you can support the show, head on over to CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/support. So it was announced late last week that after the transfer window closed officially for Major League Soccer, FC Cincinnati and general manager Gerard Nijkamp mutually agreed to part ways. Gentlemen, this was, I don't know if it was a surprise. Maybe the timing was surprising, but I don't necessarily think that this was all that surprising, considering that progress, although you are seeing a little bit of progress, I think the expectations were not met. So, Brad, I'll start with you because I know you've been itching to get to this news here, and this is what you want to talk about. A, were you surprised by the timing? And B, what are your initial thoughts?
Oh my goodness. So, surprised by the timing, I would say a bit. If FC Cincinnati and Gerard Nijkamp would have known that, and it sounds like they've known this for a while, that they probably were going to be making a change at this position, I would have rather have that happened before the transfer window, because I kind of, while I like the Velo signing, and I think Blackett is a signing as well. I know we're going to talk about that, just assets that the new general manager can't use. So I question the timing and the wisdom there from the front office. But I put out an article today on the website, and honestly, I wrote the article last week when Gerard Nijkamp was still the general manager, and it was basically like a referendum on how poorly he had managed the roster, and about how he talks about he needs all these windows and all this money to make changes, and he was talking about maybe setting up this upcoming window is his 5th and maybe his final big transfer window to reshape the roster. And looking at it, like, he basically used up all of his swings. There's this offseason is going to be extremely tough for the new general manager with, basically you think about it, all the impact positions, DPs, one available. All the U22s are probably going to be used up. All the TAM players are probably going to be used up. So our new general manager, he's going to be coming in with one arm tied behind his back or her back to reshape this roster and improve the team. So that's why I kind of question why let a player like Blackie come in, who's probably going to take up a TAM deal or a high GAM deal. And why did you let that move go through? If we arguably we're one spot off the bottom of the table, why do we need to make some of those moves? So I'm really interested to talk about it, what it's going to mean for the new direction of the club. But I still kind of question, if we knew he was leaving, why did we let some of these moves go through?
All right, Bill, jump in here.
Good. You could tell that I was anxious.
Yes, I could.
Yeah. So I think, trying to play counterpoint a little bit to you, Brad. I think, some people question whether this was a decision based on what Gerard did during this window. And I don't think that's the case. I don't think this is all Gerard could come up with and the club said, see you later. Like you said, I think there's a lot of hints and a lot of clues that this was a decision that was made in advance. So it comes down to that question that you're asking, which is, why did we wait until after the window was up? And I think there's a couple clues involved in that. And I think one is, if you had somebody in mind, right, and you were gonna, you could bring them in time to do that window, that would be great. But I think the reality is that, we're looking for somebody with MLS experience, right? I mean, this is something we haven't had. It's something that people all seem to realize that we need. And, you're coming down to, we need a GM. This person has to have MLS experience this time. We can't come in with somebody who does not have that. And you can't, right at the beginning of a transfer window, expect to go calling around to people who are, involved with MLS, maybe as an assistant somewhere or a second, and start saying, well, are you interested in coming to FC Cincinnati? Because it's like everybody's busy. So I think the timing really came down to just like, let's just wait till we get through this window. Everybody takes a breath and they have a little time, and then we can start to approach the right people and ask the questions of, is this a time that you're looking to move on and have your own thing, or maybe take on Cincinnati as a new project if you already have your thing. As far as the players, for me, I kind of looked at this as a little bit as a replacement situation. I mean, we got rid of Locadia, we got rid of Franco Kovacevic, and we got rid of Pedersen, right? And then we needed another left back, and we needed a wing. And, we have, in essence, a left back and a wing that we brought in. So, I think this is a little bit of more just a Band-Aid type of situation as opposed to really making impact signings. Neither one of them really look like an impact signing. I agree with you. Blackett's a little bit on the high side. Fortunately, it's like a 1-year loan, so it's not a long-term tie down for anybody new. And I think this is a little bit of damage control and trying not to sign anybody really, which it doesn't bode well for the rest of the season, but it does indicate at least an awareness from the club of, let's not tie the new GM's hands any more than we have to.
Don't tell Castillo we need another left back. No, I'm joking.
Sorry, left center back. Be clear.
I'm actually very disappointed in how this whole thing played out, because I truly feel like we are a left winger and a right back away from being something special. And yeah, I really feel that. If you bring a DP left wing and a halfway decent right back, I think we have somebody that might not make the playoffs this year, but it's going to be in a hell of a spot to get there next year. And that a new GM might be able to do that. I think there's a lot of decent pieces in this core of the roster. I think Nijkamp learned very well this past 6-8 months. So yeah, I was surprised that it was that this happened. For the past a month and a half, we have been saying that there are holes in this roster, and that's evident. But I think overall, I was not expecting him to be gone. Friday. So I don't know. I don't know if I wholeheartedly agree with the timing, especially because, this guy's come out with some pretty good moves over the past, 3-6 months.
I would agree. Some of his last signings have been a little bit stronger than some of the earlier signings. If you look at the whole picture, his hit and miss ratio is not nearly as good. But his more recent one has been better. But I think the issue comes down to the fact that if you look at us right now. We're sitting in 13th place. We are not the wooden spoon, but we're 1 point from the wooden spoon. We're halfway through the season. No matter what you want to say about how much better this roster is, and I agree, it is way better. Certainly, there have been a lot more exciting games to watch than there were in 2019. For instance, a 2-year gap, right? I mean, we can all agree that we're better, but we're still essentially last. And I think the club had to make a decision. I don't think it could wait to the end of the year. I think the fans themselves are still here. We were like number 1 in MLS attendance last weekend, which is phenomenal considering that we're in 13th place in the East. Congratulations to us. But my thought is that, that's not going to last, and we can't keep dwelling at the bottom without at least the club saying this isn't acceptable. And I think that's a little bit of what this comes down to, whether you agree with what Nijkamp was doing, whether you think he was doing, could do better, whether he was improving, which I think we could make an argument for. I think the club had to step in and had to say, this isn't acceptable. We need to be better.
I mean,
they spent too much money.
Yeah. Think about it. Like, we've been talking about his mismanagement of funds for how long? That's where the hashtag demand better came from with Ken. But just look at the simple dollars and cents sign. If you're Carl Lindner sitting up in his, ivory tower, looking at this team saying, I just spent $500 million on a stadium. I just spent $20 million, maybe not quite $20 million, but probably close to that, $20 million on transfer fees this season. I'm not getting my return on my assets here. You got Brenner, who you shout out $13.5, $14 million for. I know, Brian, you're happy you might only get 8 goals, but like, he got 4 goals right now, and he's not really looking great, and he's not looking that consistent doing it. You got Lucho, who plays hero ball, and there's still so many pieces that don't fit together. And so I almost just think like he probably fed up with it at this point in time. I think we see Gerard's made statements where, and to be fair to him, it's got to be tough being basically away from your family for 2 years, and you guys can't travel back and forth because of COVID regulations. That's takes an amazing toll. We've seen that across all professional sports, all businesses outside of sports where people can't travel to see their families. That's so tough. But I think it came to a point where it's like, are we going to dive in for a couple more years with this guy? Are we going to let this experiment continue to go? Or you know what? Are you still over your head? When you get into a position where you're underwater, and even though you're fighting, you can still make some good moves, you still feel like you're overwater and you're underwater and you're suffocating. I almost feel like it's that at this point in time. He wanted out. FC Cincinnati kind of wanted him out. I think it was the move in a league where, excuse me, you're talking about run on sentences, Brian, in a league where teams literally take the conservative route and let bad projects go on for too long. I'm glad FC Cincinnati made this move now. They didn't wait. They didn't let another cycle or two go and we're in the same position summer 2022. I'm glad they, cut bait now, and I think it's going to be the right move long term.
Yeah, I think even when the hire was made, I think a lot of us understood why they went that route. I think a lot of us also were wondering how this was going to work with somebody who doesn't have experience with Major League Soccer's convoluted rules system and roster rules. I mean, it's a lot for anybody to learn, let alone somebody who's been a technical director for a couple of different clubs over in Europe. So he was always going to be behind the 8 ball, right? Just the learning curve itself. I think the 3 of you would also agree with me that if you're Jeff Birding, if you're FC Cincinnati, priority number 1 is to find somebody who has Major League Soccer experience building a team. I think you all would agree with that statement.
Building a winning team. Absolutely, yes. Because I think there's going to be opportunities, and I think the story will probably come out on Wednesday with my long short list, we call it, about 10 to 12 names of, I think, candidates that could maybe not all of them realistically be GM, but kind of fit a certain profile. So, yeah, I mean, there's going to be people out there that are probably sniffing around looking for jobs, wanting to be in that senior chair. And we just got to go make the right. We got to go make the right hire. We need to go get somebody that has the connections within the league that'll inspire people, that will make people want to come and join the project in Cincinnati. whether it be from the league office or an established candidate. I think there's a whole lot of different routes that we can go. But at the end of the day, I'm worried that we're going to get stuck with another project, another first timer that's going to go hire another first time head coach, and we're just going to be stuck in the muck. I mean, I don't want to go like the Houston route and hire Tab Ramos as coach. I want to go out. If we're going to do this, we need to aim high and bring in somebody worth a damn.
Well, see, so I'm necessarily not as married to making sure like this has got to be an MLS guy with an MLS coach and all that. I don't think it necessarily needs to be that way 100%. You've seen like Philadelphia with Ernst Tanner, he's come in, but like the biggest thing, and I'm going to steal it from Andrew Wisnowski. Okay. He tweeted it earlier this week, and I think it's in 2 sentences, echoes exactly what Ken and I have said all year. If you shape he tweeted, if you shape your player recruitment and signing strategy around roster rules and salary cap, instead of finding players and trying to figure out how they fit in that salary cap after the fact, you're going to have a far better time. Literally, we just need our general manager to be strategic. You know you're coming into a salary cap league. The rules are right there. You need to have an idea how all these pieces fit together as a puzzle. And I just feel like under Jeff Birding as general manager and then Gerard Nijkamp, it was always vice versa. It was always like, let's get this guy in. Okay. Let's pay him. Like, let's give it. Okay. Alan Cruz, Alan, you were MVP our first year. You're a great piece. We're going to give you, $1.2 million or whatever that. And you're like, whoa. Like those are the moves we need to avoid. And I don't think it takes a rocket science to do that. You just need to understand the basic concepts. And then, this new general manager, he's going to get some breaks. Okay. He's not going to have to build an academy from ground up. Okay. He's not going to have to worry about building a training center where they're going to practice all that stuff, playing on turf versus now playing on grass. So he's got a lot of infrastructure in place, and there's a lot of good stuff that Nijkamp did with that, and, building the academy, and Larry Sunderland now is hitting home runs there. But you think you need to have the basic concepts in place on how you build and organize a team. You can't just shoehorn in everything. It's not going to fit long term.
Okay. Well, that's a fair point, but also Philadelphia Union had been around the block for a while, and they have the support structure. Same with FC Dallas. The FC Dallas's GM, I can't remember. They have a technical director, whatever, who's essentially their GM, but they have a guy with 14 years experience holding his hand, working with them. We don't have that here.
Right. When we brought in Nijkamp, right? I mean, the original plan was to have Luke Sassano as his helper, right? Who was supposed to have had some MLS experience by that point. Of course, he didn't last very long. He ended up, for personal reasons, having to leave. And then, the next thought would be you would mix with like an MLS coach so that you'd have a duo. So at least somebody would have some MLS experience. And we ended up with a Dutch coach. So we ended up with sort of the blind leading the blind, I hate to say. And I think that's the problem. I mean, we have to have somebody in that technical leadership who has some MLS experience, who understands the roster rules. They don't have to be American. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it has to be American, right? I mean, they just have to have some MLS understanding. We can't have somebody learning on the job. We can't bring in 2 new people and have them try to figure out how MLS works, because I think we've agreed Nijkamp was getting better.
Mm-hmm.
However, it took him 2 years, right? We don't want to start another 2-year project. So, I mean, we need somebody, and it's going to be, as I think Brian's saying, it's got to be somebody, significant. And it probably means some, Linder bucks, but we got to come up with somebody who raises some eyebrows and people say, now this guy knows what he's doing. And we just can't make the mistake again. We're 3 years behind. So
only problem is 2 great candidates just went off the board, and Chris Henderson and now the GM Lucy Ashton, I believe at DC United. So I mean, it's not the best time to be going hunting for this job. I mean, I guess it could be worse, but we'll see who wants to leave a project midseason.
I think too, there is the added bonus of, at least if you are somebody who's interested in becoming a general manager in this league, at least that by coming here, you've got the backing of ownership. They are willing to invest. Like they have shown, they are willing to go out and spend money on DPs. Now, whether those are the right DPs or whether or not they're actual DPs, that's another story and another topic for another show. But at least the ownership has shown that they are willing to commit to investing in the playing squad, right? I mean, so there's that. So right away, that's a big selling point, at least in my opinion. But for me, and I'll let you chime in here, Brian, because I know you're working really hard on a piece for our website on this. I think you've got to go. If it's me, I personally think you need to go with somebody who has experience building a winning roster in Major League Soccer right now. I just don't think you can take that chance of going international again and running that risk and having to learn the rules and regulations of Major League Soccer. It's too complicated, and we don't have 2 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you had a dream scenario, Bri, I mean, I think we all would say, like, hey, hand the keys to Garth Lagerwey, but that would never happen, right? I mean,
well, if you want to pay him enough,
I would call him right now and offer him whatever he wanted. That's just my 2 cents. I would love to have Garth Lagerway here. He built a winner in Salt Lake, and look what he's doing in Seattle. So that's my choice. Bri, where are you leaning?
I think that'd be an excellent choice. I think if you've listened to me over the past 2 years, I've always been a Vermees kind of guy. But he's never going to leave his group as they're sitting in first place in the West. But in all honesty, you'll see a lot of names. I think there's young candidates. There's candidates that've been around the block a little bit. I think we're going to have a choice to go after some existing general managers. There's a very decent general manager in Salt Lake City, Elliott Fall, that is probably going to be out of a job when their new ownership group comes in. Same with the general manager, Matt Jordan, down in Houston, who hasn't been the most successful, but he's also been very handicapped on how much he can spend. So there's going to be those guys. If I could circle 2 people, I would say probably Craig Weible, who just started a role out in Seattle, I think this spring, as they're kind of their second in command. But he was the general manager at RSL before Fall, and he's basically a disciple of Garth Lagerwey. I think he'd be a great hire. And then another name that if you're a Columbus Crew fan, you probably know is Brian Bliss. Talk about a guy who's been around the block. He's been the technical director of Columbus, the technical director of Chicago, won major, supporter shields, MLS Cup as his technical director. He's been the vice president of player personnel and the technical director the past 5 years at Sporting KC. He was a key catalyst in bringing in Alan Polito. So I think there's guys that, while they might not be a sexy name and total, I guess average Joe Blow would know who they are. I think there's really good candidates that we can bring in that will be sold on this project. I think I mentioned earlier, the GM at FC Dallas, another quality GM, did great at Santos and Grêmio in Brazil. I think came in second in the FIFA Club World Cup as a technical director. He's been basically selling players in Dallas.
Churning them out. And
I don't want to give him the credit fully on that, because there's a lot of people doing that.
A lot involved, yeah.
He's shown he can do a lot of those good things. He's got a lot of good contacts. He's brought in some good players. Why not come to a club where you can spend $15 million a year versus trying to bring in $15 million a year? So I think there's opportunities, and of course I overvalue FC Cincinnati, so there's that too.
All right.
Beckham looking for a change. Ha!
So now that the general manager, that there's going to be change there at that position, obviously that begs or points the camera towards Jaap Stam. What does that mean for his future going forward? Obviously, a new general manager is going to be coming in. We know his contract runs out at the end of this year. I'd imagine that right now there's a lot up in the air with that, Bill.
Oh, sure. I mean, and I think, for people who are questioning the timing and such, I think that's another reason why, you want to try to look now rather than, let Nijkamp make it to the end of the season, right? I mean, if you're going to start that hunt for a GM, you want the GM to come in ahead of the head coach. And nothing's to say that Jaap Stam couldn't become a better head coach with some leadership from a good GM. I'm not even saying that. It could be that the new GM comes in, likes Jaap, and the two of them get along, and they work some things out, and suddenly we see some improvements. Or maybe there's we're not getting the right players for Jaap for what he wants to do, and with some discussion we can make some adjustments. But I think that's the whole point, right? Is you find somebody now, and then you have a few months at the end of the season to evaluate how Jaap's doing. Evaluate how that duo is going to work, and then you make a decision. It's good for Jaap as well, right? Because it gives him some time, if it's not going to work out with the new GM, for him to start looking. and then for us to start looking as well. So I think all in all, it's good timing for us for a GM standpoint to start this search now, and hopefully we'll have I don't know this season. I mean, I think some people would have higher hopes for this season. I'm maybe a little bit more neutral at this point, but I do think it's a good sign for what the club envisions, at least as far as moving forward.
So, yep, that was the big news at the end of the week. Gerard Nijkamp and FC Cincinnati mutually agreeing to go their separate ways. And so we wish Gerard best of luck on his future endeavors. And, of course, FC Cincinnati now in the market for a new general manager. So as there are further updates, stay tuned to Cincinnati Soccer Talk for more details as more and more comes out regarding that search. There were a couple of player additions last week. We've talked about them very briefly here on the show. Tyler Blackett, a name that many of you might remember from previous transfer windows that for whatever reason, that opportunity never actually ended up happening for the Orange and Blue. Now in the fold for FC Cincinnati, as well as New York Red Bulls former winger Florian Valot, a name that I know Brad Wygle was maybe excited to discuss 3 years ago during the expansion draft. I believe you and Ken both had him on your list for potential candidates in the expansion draft that FC Cincinnati passed on. Of course, we know how that ended up with San and Dom. So let's talk a little bit about Velo, Brad. A name that
San and Dom, a name I just brings up painful
Alexander.
Yeah, forgot about
just pain right there, fellas.
Yeah. This is a guy we could have had for free 3 years ago.
100%. And while yes, he's had some injuries, that was after the expansion draft. I think the I'll start with Velo and I'll let you guys go into Blackett. I think Velo is a move that we should have done 3 years ago. It's a move we should do every window because he covers so many different positions. One thing Ken and I said when we're talking about free agents and all this stuff, you need to have a backup. Like a 10 wings, all these, and we never had these. Like right now, Felicio Acosta goes down. There's no backup 10 right now. Right now, we're seeing there's very little depth on the wings. I really like Velo because he can play all three of those positions, and if he needs to, he can maybe drop into, say, an 8 role. So he provides cover, and I think he's even played right back at once at all, but he provides cover at so many different positions. And you saw it this weekend, even though he made a late cameo, like he looked dangerous. He looked like he was trying to make things happen. Maybe he hasn't had his spirit broken yet, but I really like that role. He played 23 matches last year for the Red Bulls. The guy has quality if he can just stay healthy. He had a little knee injury this year. He's getting back to fitness, but I think it's a move in this league that are extremely valuable. So those guys making $100K a year that you pick up for peanuts that can really play roles. And I think that's something that we've been missing the last couple of years with FC Cincinnati. We're always looking for these big, flashy signings, and yet we're just discounting the Ben Mines of the world and, some of these young guys, some of these undervalued guys like Velo. So I really hope that Stom gives him a chance. I hope he gives him some play. I didn't get to touch on this a little bit ago, but I really am disappointed in Jaap Stom. I feel like he's been a little petty with some of his sub usage, and I think that probably cost Nijkamp his job. You know what? At some point in time, we're talking about if he's going to be our manager next year, you're never going to get a perfect roster in MLS. So you just got to play with what you have. And this stubbornness, this pettiness is garbage. And, hopefully Velo gives him a piece that he can use and feel comfortable playing. Because right now I'm just kind of fed up with him.
Correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe I'm not remembering it. Was Velo the one who played the ball through to Atanga there at the end?
No, Kubo.
Kubo? Okay.
Kubo. But
either
Velo
way, I agree with you. When he was on,
runs.
I thought he was like, okay, all right. Maybe he should have come on 20 minutes ago.
He had some ideas. Looked dangerous.
Hell of a 3 minutes. Hell of a 3 minutes on the pitch.
Yeah.
Well, we had 3 fresh legs suddenly out there and a whole burst of energy. And
oh my gosh, we look good all of a sudden.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
Tyler Blackett, Bri.
Yeah, how about that, huh? Especially coming here on a free, have him for a weird term on his contract for this half the season and the first half of next season. So that is some heck of a deal. Parting gift from Nijkamp going out the door.
The best part about that, Brian, was that, obviously I spent the week moving, so I was in and out of our Slack and social media, so I had no idea what was going on. I popped in for a brief moment, and I saw that we had signed Tyler Blackett, and I honestly thought it was 20, whatever year it was.
2020, yeah. We literally had a story and images made up from last year. I mean, this damn thing was about to happen last year. So yeah, how about that? No, I shake my head, kind of what Brad said. He's going to be an expensive player. There's rumor that he was on like $700,000 or something like that at Nottingham. So we'll see if that's actually true whenever they do the roster update. So I just kind of shake my head at that. Does it show we're going to a back three? Does it mean, he's not going to play left back. He's not going to play left back. I can't imagine he does with Modric and a Castillo in this whatever. He's coming back from injury. We'll see if he even recovers from that. But do we go to back three? Does he go to the left center back role? Does Cameron or Viacia go to the 6? I mean, it's just
wow.
I like in a vacuum. I like the player. I like that he's here on a free. I think you do that move probably 9 times out of 10, but in this scenario, I'm just unsure how it fits. And that's kind of the general theme of Nijkamp signings. Where do they go?
We're missing the fact that he's hurt.
He'll play at 10, yeah.
He just had surgery for a torn groin. So he's going to be out a couple more weeks, and then he's got to get to fitness first.
So you're saying we'll see him in 2022?
Yeah, I think it's more of a late 21, 22 move. Kind
of like a Kovacevic move from last year.
Yeah, I think maybe a little more impactful than that, because he's got a ton of talent. Free transfer for at least a year, and if that works, we can extend it through 23. So I think it's a move worth taking, but like he's hurt. Again, he's like another one of those same damn moves. Like, yeah, he's got talent, but is he a left back? Is he a left center back? What is he?
Not great at one thing. Not great at one thing.
It's another one of those moves with FC Cincinnati, like Kubo. Is he a midfielder? Is he a wing? Is he a striker? Like, just more and more of this stuff, and that's why I almost, even though it's got a short term out for him in the summer next year, I still like do we really need it?
You don't spend that money in this league on a backup.
That's the big question for me, right? I mean, if it wasn't the money that we've seen, which you mentioned 700,000 at Nottingham, if it was half that, maybe even, you could start to feel a little bit more okay with this, and you could say, okay, so he's a backup left center back for this year, and maybe Castillo, I don't know what his contract is. Is he around next year? And is he a left backup next year? I don't know. But for $750,000, yeah, this is a player you would expect to be on the pitch. I mean, this is not the kind of money you want to leave on the bench.
Hey man, Stom loves playing his center backs at fullback. So Nick Hagelin, you're setting a bad precedent.
And his wingers at 6.
Oh my God. No, I'm joking. Hey, Hagelin's doing well in 3 games ish. You just got to pass the ball to him when he makes that run, right?
Yes.
Hey, didn't Hagelin have Nani in his pocket? It wasn't his fault that he scored that goal, right? I mean,
no, literally, like Brian and I, we pointed out like 5 times last match where he made a run and like Lucha just looked over and was like, yeah, right. And we're like, you got to at least make it once. I mean, you got to let the guy have a chance. Like, if not, he's never going to make those runs, and then you're just going to pin the defense back. So, no, in all honesty, we keep being critical on these signings. I like the player, and I hope he works out. But are we going to force other players to move and get out of their preferred position?
Is this also? You could also maybe consider this. What's the word I'm looking for? In case of emergency, if Viacia is not back next year, because he's also on loan.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if there's some weird rule that he might not fit in a U22 or something that screws it up. But I guess
they said they exercise his fee. He'll be U22, but
I hope so.
I think he could be like Brian said, he could be the left center back in a back five. Moderita's probably going to be gone a lot this fall with Costa Rica World Cup qualifying. If Castillo is injured, that's an option. So it does give you options, but again, it's not perfect.
But why do we have Avion Flanagan on this roster?
Because he was
all these
free.
I know, but it's just like, what? I don't know.
Hey, it's not my fault that Jaap Stam hasn't run any of them out there to see if they can perform or not.
Is Blackett left-footed?
I would assume so. Let me look.
Because could you play him at right back if he's
Yes.
right? So he's left-footed. Okay, so
He's
then
left-footed.
he's definitely going to be a left back. Couldn't put him at right back. I guess
you
but
could.
That'd be awesome.
You could invert him. It's possible. No, seriously. Yeah. No.
Oh,
You were
I know
being
what you mean,
serious, and we all thought you took a shot.
just because we do it with our wingers doesn't mean we should do it to our outside backs.
No, but it is a possibility. It's a different kind of style of play. You're basically having that player cutting the ball into the field rather than trying to go down and cross.
Hey, man, we can only get one spot worse in this whole thing, so might as well try.
Yeah, this probably. I could see where you would think maybe a 3-4-3 or 5-3-2 or 3-5-2. This is where Coach Goff and his tactical expertise will be able to break all of that down. You like that segue, gentlemen? Make sure you check out Talking Tactics a little bit later on this week as Coach Goff will break down everything regarding the orange and blue. Of course, the draw over the weekend against Orlando. And I don't know if they touched on the Red Bulls game last week or not, but make sure you check it out. Coach does a great job with that show. Hopefully we have Justin Hoyt back as well, talking a little FCC. Go ahead, Brian.
As a quick aside, I could not be more proud of what Coach is doing. This guy moved across the country, took his whole family to California, starting a new adventure out there, going back to school, and he's still dedicating his time to do this stuff for you guys. So please review his show, give him grief about his beer reviews, all that cool stuff. But honestly, we're seriously blessed that he's doing this, and we hope that he continues to do so. So please show him a little bit of love. Listen to his show; it's incredible.
Well said, Brian.
Does Listerman ship to the West Coast?
There's plenty of good brews out there, I'm sure.
I'm sure Coach knows. All right, so
It's the reason why he drove out there.
no. It's not something that we typically do on the Monday night show, but we got some questions this week. Folks wanted to give us some feedback. And so we'll go through some of these questions that we got here on Twitter. This is from Alan Henley.
My boy Alan.
He says, how long
Go
do
Team
you
Red.
think FCC can continue to pull in as many fans as they had last game with a poor field performance? Who is the betting favorite to be our first win in West End Stadium, also known as the Tickle Stadium?
When's Nashville SC come here? Because I know we're going to beat them.
That's late.
A while.
I hope it's not Nashville.
So Team USA versus Mexico.
Oh, no.
Schedule real quick.
I was going to say, I have to pull up the schedule. Damn.
So to give you a little background, Alan Henley was on a golf trip with me a couple weeks ago, and we were Team Red, and we knocked off Team Blue, which were the favorites. So that was pretty awesome.
And we play Toronto at home on September 11th, so I think that's a good shot.
I think it's going to be Montreal next Wednesday. I think we're going to get our first win versus Montreal. We will have had 11 days off. It'll be home.
Refreshed
a bit.
And also
Montreal,
they've shown they could beat Montreal. They should have beat Montreal twice.
So Montreal's lost 4 of 5, and we should have beat them. And then they play this Saturday versus Red Bulls. So they're playing this weekend. We get them. They're probably going to be tired. We're going to be rested. Our guys on vacay right now. I think it's going to be Wednesday night.
The 18th of August.
18th of August.
Yep.
Write it down.
I like that. I like that prediction, Brad.
Actually, I think I agree.
Yeah. Thank you for
You
the
guys should
question.
listen to
Alan.
March to Match Day. I give you this information for free all the time.
There you go. Oh, this next one is from Bill Barrett 6 on Twitter. The big question is Jaap Stam's role going forward. He has put together the framework for a decent team. Does he take over the project, get the support staff and players he needs, and continues the process, or do we start over again?
I hope
Kinda
not.
answered that a little bit earlier in the show, right?
I hope not. I put that in my stories, like, having a coach is like the quote unquote GM. You have to have a very strong second, somebody that'll, trust him. And do we really want to trust the keys of this project to Jaap? I don't
Who
think he's
doesn't know Major League Soccer?
He doesn't. Yeah. So I think that'd be very difficult. I like Yop. I want to root for Yop. I wish all the success in the world for Yop. I think he's done great, for our fan base. Yes, he's said some things that are stupid, but oh well.
What coach hasn't?
No.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the substitution patterns and everything and how he's been vocal saying, oh, I don't have enough help. I don't have enough support. This general manager who's going to come in is not going to be able to snap his fingers and fix things overnight.
No.
The new head coach is going to have to play with players that they don't necessarily want. And so I think with, Jaap Stam showing his pettiness with his lack of substitutions and rolling out different players is, he's making his own grave right now. So I'm completely all right driving him, booking an Uber, sending him to the airport, and he can go for all I care.
You want to add in anything there, Bill?
I would just say that I still don't think we start over, even if it's not Yop and we have a GM come in and he decides we need a new head coach. I think this is a process of building from where we are versus starting over. I think year one it was pretty much a do-over. I don't think we're there. I think we definitely have improved the roster. I think there are some pieces here that we all agree are some really solid pieces, and I think there's something to build on.
Okay. This next one is from Zach on Twitter. He asks, that gives me a question for tonight's show. How will this change impact the academy going forward? Play styles, long-term vision, etc. Because a new GM means change, and not just for the first team and on the cusp of FCC2 team.
That's a great question. I think Larry Sunderland answered that one, though, when he was on our show. And I think we were talking like, oh, are you going to play the Dutch 4-3-3 or whatever? And he was kind of like, well, somewhat. But I think the key is, how do we want to play? Do we want to play possession oriented? So are we going to work on this drill, this drill, and this drill? How are we going to start developing our players? And I don't think that's going to change at all. Maybe there's going to be some formation tweaks, but I think the 4-3-3 and how we're playing is used on a lot of teams across the league. So I don't think that's going to change a lot when it comes to the academy. Maybe the MLS Next team mirrors those formation changes more so than the academy team, but I'm not really worried about how it's going to affect the academy. Larry Sunderland's a good dude with a nice head on his shoulders, and I don't think this is going to affect him one way or the other.
All right. This last question is from David Ide. Do you think Stam is as clueless as he seems about the fact that he is running his players ragged with his lack of substitutions? His comment about his playing 65 matches without rest seems telling.
How about that comment?
I did not think you were going to read that one.
Yeah.
Why'd you put it in there?
I think Brad's answer to the point that is like the pettiness and how this thing's come in. Like I don't know if I fully agree with it, but he's definitely not winning over us fans with how he's managing some of these things. So we'll see how it goes, but no.
I mean, the players just look exhausted.
Oh yeah, I mean, you saw those photos of the players literally just falling over.
Yeah, it was
at
like
the final whistle.
Sniper,
so
right?
I lost a lot of respect for Stam when I saw that.
Yeah. I don't think he's clueless. I think he just has an attitude that they need to suck it up, and he knows what he's doing to him, but for some reason he doesn't seem to care.
Yeah. Like, okay, so you played in the fall, okay, in the winter, Yop. Okay. So I can't say I've been a professional athlete like him, but I've played a ton of golf, and I can walk literally like 36 holes a day, no problem when it's 50 or 60 degrees, like no problem at all. But I can barely make it 9 holes when it's 90 degrees. Okay. These guys are playing in different conditions in a condensed schedule. Let's not forget, this is still kind of a COVID year. This schedule is truncated big time. Mm-hmm. So we're seeing a lot of midweek games, no squad rotation. These guys are going 90 minutes every week, and then they're practicing, and then it's crazy.
Well, and where are we seeing the most effect, right? I mean, the defenders are doing okay. I mean, Jeff Cameron's up there, so we're obviously worried about how long can he keep doing this. But the defenders are doing okay. It's our front line, right? It's our attacking four that look like they have nothing from the beginning of the game on. And I think Red Bulls was a classic example of that. And I think, for him to talk about playing 65 matches without rest or whatever, That's great. There are defenders that do that, but it's not the same thing. And that's why most of the time you don't see teams subbing out their defenders either, because they don't need it.
I know, Brian, you were just wincing there on your camera, but we were talking about this all match. It looked like bad Lucho again. The guy wasn't making runs that he should be making. I think it's probably because he's freaking exhausted. I was listening to KLR, and I'm going to have, this is a trust fall here, guys. I'm going to have to hope that they're not lying here, but kind of from what they were saying and from what I was seeing during the match, like that last run with Atanga, Acosta could have made runs there to help him out late, and he was probably whooped. So I think lack of substitutions and overall just no rotation are killing these guys, especially the attackers. And
yeah, but we were just talking a second ago about ideas in the front four. And I think this is actually one of some of our better matches with our front four, especially how Stam applied Joe Jow, being especially able to support Brenner in that midfield here. So I guess a lot of us have a disagreement with how Stam made his comment, and I just want to leave you with the immortal words of Sam Obisanya. Hey guys, Jan Maas is not being rude. He's just being Dutch. So
well played, Brian. Well played, Brian. For those of you who haven't watched Ted Lasso, make sure you go check out season 2, available now on Apple TV Plus. That's a free plug. So congrats.
He's so proud of himself for that comment over there, guys. You have no idea.
It's pretty good.
He's so proud. He's got this little smirk. Oh my gosh. I'm going to hear about this all the rest of the week at work now, about this Jan Maas comment. I just hope you guys know what's coming.
On that note, we did not get any new Apple podcast reviews last week.
Because nobody likes March to Match Day.
I will say that I thought of a great idea today as I was preparing for tonight's show. So for this week's Apple podcast review, or if you want to email it into us, that's fine too. We want your cover letter for your application to become FC Cincinnati's newest general manager. Why should you be the next choice to lead FCC? Get in touch with us. Again, leave the rating and review on Apple Podcasts, or you can email us feedback@cincinnati-soccertalk.com. Get clever. Some of the better ones we will definitely read on next week's show.
And pass on to Jeff.
Please send these to feedback@cincinnati-soccertalk.com as well, because I would enjoy reading these.
One sentence for me. I can balance my checkbook.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Low bar.
On
Low bar.
that note, let's wrap things up here.
I can send you.
Yeah. CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/roster. Go check it out. Let's wrap things up. Brad, as always, appreciate you being on the show, brother.
Hey, man. I appreciate you coming on. I don't have anything too eloquent to say other than I just think the parting ways with Gerard Nijkamp was the right move. It was a courageous move, wasn't the easy move. In an organization right now that's not getting the benefit of the doubt league-wide, and pretty much anything they do, good or bad, is getting upon. I think it was a courageous move, and I'm glad they did it, and I think it's going to set up success. You just need to get somebody in here who understands and doesn't fight the rules and concepts of the league, but embraces them. That's what I'm looking forward to see.
We've come a long way, folks. I'm really proud of you, Brad. You did not say the S word there. I did not have to use the bleep function. So
hey, man, I got to edit my own shows and all that. Like, I'm not like Coach where we get to have somebody edit the shows. Like, I got to do all this stuff myself, and so I'm not going to waste any of your time.
We can tell
it's valuable.
Brad, as always, I appreciate you, buddy.
Hey, man, he's just putting the man down.
You get a week off. There's no match this week.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness.
I've been in that chair before.
All right, Brian, final thoughts?
I've been seeing a lot of stuff on Twitter about, or Facebook, whatever, about not renewing tickets. And I think I've deleted like 8 Twitter posts basically being like, guys, rethink this. We need to bring people out to the game, and we need to do this. We need to keep driving this whole project forward. But you know what? I'm almost sick of that. I really want Jeff Birding and whoever else is hiring this GM to go make a splash. I know you built a great stadium for us, and you've done a lot of great things with, rich person's pocketbook. It's wonderful, and we truly appreciate it. But at some point, I mean, we got to start seeing something to get us that hook to bite back into next season. I'm going to do that. That's our nature. We have 6 tickets. We've been here since the beginning. It's going to take a lot for us to really lose all of our season tickets, but not everybody's like that. And not everybody's been here since the beginning and put the blood, sweat, tears, and equity into this project. So I've seen a lot of people even in the chat tonight being like, okay, what's going to happen if we keep losing? So please show us. And trust me, if you just give us a little bit, we will keep showing up and keep supporting and keep driving this train. So just please do that.
Appreciate you being on the show, Brian.
Yeah, read my stories coming out this week. I think you'll be impressed.
Yeah, check it out over at CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com. Brian did a great job with those. And
Rob Pierce hates me right now because of the length of some of these. So if you're good for a good read, they're like 2,500 words each. So please check it out.
All right. And last but certainly not least, Bill Wolf, your final thoughts. Appreciate you being on the show, bud.
Yeah, I gotta say, being the third B of the 3 Bs,
right.
the Wygle love is tough to compete with.
If only we had another B in Boston here sitting in my chair tonight. Oh,
exactly. We should have done that last week.
I told Brian I feel bad for whoever's going to be the third co-host on this show because they're not going to be able to get much words in.
No,
just like I'm interrupting your
exactly
segment right here.
Exactly. My final thoughts are Brad talking about how bad he feels about me being on the show.
I feel real bad about it.
I
feel real bad about talking so much.
Yeah. Can we mute him?
Play clock.
Yeah. All right. So probably people have seen some Twitter stuff going on lately. Certainly we talked about this last week where TQL Stadium has been gifted, I would say, the US-Mexico match in November. I think it's phenomenal for our city. I think it's phenomenal for this stadium and this club to get that exposure. People who've been paying attention may have seen that the American Outlaws Cincinnati chapter has been a lot more active lately. Obviously, there was the Gold Cup, there was the Olympics, so they were out there very, very vocal and commenting a lot on the games and holding watch parties at the pitch down off of basically right across from the stadium. And I think it's great to see them much more active again. What I think is really exciting is that we recently met with them, the supporters groups for FC Cincinnati, to talk about how we can work together, because obviously they have a really large task ahead of them to prepare for this very, very, very high visibility match. And we have a lot of the capabilities to do that. So, we had members from all the supporters groups meet with them. We talked about TIFOs, we talked about capos, drums, the march, even things like how to get police and fire department approval for all the things that we do. So we have a lot of people who are used to doing this stuff, who can make this stuff happen for them. Obviously, I was there, I wouldn't be talking about it. But as a member of the American Outlaws, I'm excited to see this collaboration. And I think, we did a pretty nice job for the men's national team and the women's national team when they came. And I think this is going to be even a notch higher, I think, with the new stadium and some of the capabilities we have there. So I think it's a great first step. And it seems like the collaboration is good and strong and everybody's excited. So looking forward to that match in November. I hope everybody at least tries to get a ticket, and if not, watches on TV. But I think it will be a phenomenal game with a phenomenal environment. So I think we're ready.
All right. Well said, Bill. Appreciate you being on the show again. Hope you feel better.
Yeah, I'm doing good. So
the horse man.
Yeah, I just got that little scratchy thing. It's all good.
Again, my thanks to everybody who tuned in live tonight on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We really appreciate you watching us here every Monday night. Again, rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts. Send those in, feedback at CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com. And, of course, coming up a little bit later on this week, make sure you check out Talking Tactics with Coach Goff. And, of course, all our great articles over at CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of Cincinnati Talks. I can't even speak. I'm out of practice. Cincinnati Soccer Talk for Brian Wygle, Brad Wygle, and the Wolfman Bill Wolf. I'm Subs, reminding you to watch your tackles, and we'll see you all next week.